Moscow declared it will decrease its holdings of U.S. assets in retaliation against crippling tariffs imposed by U.S. President Mr. Trump on Russia and Turkey. Chillingly, Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev said Russia would regard any U.S. move to curb the activities of its banks as a declaration of economic war, and added the country would retaliate. Fresh sanctions against Russia has been threatened by President Trump, who declared Moscow were responsible for the Salisbury-Novichok nerve agent attack on former Russian spy Sergei Skripal, 66, and daughter Yulia, 33, back in March. Mr. Siluanov said the new sanctions were unpleasant but not fatal, and used a TV interview to shed light on the drop in Russia's holdings of U.S. government bonds restricted as a result of the tariffs. But he said he wouldn't shut down U.S. companies operating in Russia as they keep nationals in jobs. He said, "We have lowered to the minimum level and will further decrease our investment in the U.S. economy, in the U.S. securities. Eventually, this will negatively impact U.S. investors. But we are not planning now any limitations such as shutting down McDonald's. Our citizens work in these companies pay taxes into the budget of our country." Moscow declared it will decrease its holdings of U.S. assets in retaliation. Image, Getty Reuters. EPA, Russia announced it will shun the U.S. dollar and join forces with Turkey. Image, Getty. But while admitting that sanctions would boost inflation in Russia as they hurt the ruble, Mr. Siluanov said there were no plans to ban using the dollar in Russia. He said, "Of course, the government has no such plans. That would be a step to an impasse." Russia's ruble fell to a two-year low following the threat of sanctions which were forced upon Turkey. Though Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan announced the nation is ready to trade with other partners. He said, "We are gearing up for trade in national currencies with China, Russia, Iran, Ukraine." Mr. Trump doubled tariffs on Turkish aluminium to 50% and steel to 20%, causing the lira to plummet to a dangerous value. Iran stepped into the bitter spat and announced it too would stand by Turkey, punished by Mr. Trump for continuing to trade with the country despite efforts by the U.S. president to halt their nuclear weapon program. Mr. Trump doubled tariffs on Turkish aluminium to 50% and steel to 20%. Image, Getty. Turkey also refused to release American pastor Andrew Brunson, arrested on terror charges having been accused of a 2016 coup to overturn the Turkish government. The U.S. has continued to insist he is innocent.